Hi and welcome to Data Garden. Thanks for checking out my video. I hope you're doing very well. Today we want to talk about the filter function in Dplyr, which is probably the easiest way to select rows of your data set that you can do in R. So let's get right into it and create a new R script. So that is file, new file, R script. And we need some data, and we want to use the hair eye color data set, which is included in this datasets package. So let's do this with data, and let's type hair eye color, this one, and I'm going to load it with command and enter. And let's have a look at it with view command, view hair eye color. Oops, it's a bit too quick there. And there we see it. It's a data set with 4 columns, the first 3 of which are factor variables for the hair color, the eye color, and the sex of the person. And the last one is the frequency, how often this combination of hair color, eye color, and sex has been found among all the participants. So now we can, of course, filter different things. For example, let's say for a start, we want only all the rows of the data set that have at least a frequency of 20. So 20 observations have been in the respective group. So what we first have to do, unfortunately, this data set here is formatted as a table. And what we first have to do is we have to format hair eye color and redefine it as s.data.frame hair eye color. Press enter. And now if we view it again, we see that it looks actually the same, but for the R programming language, it's quite a different object, and we can do much more things with that since it is a data frame. So now in the next step, let's load the Dplyr package with library Dplyr. I'm going to press command and enter again. And now we see here attaching package Dplyr. And we see that the filter command here now is also loaded. And when we apply the filter command, which we want to use for this tutorial, then it will not get the one from the stats package, but rather from the Dplyr package. Now, for this example, I'm going to first select all the rows that have the frequency of at least 20 with the base R language. So how we would do that would be, of course, we would type hair eye color and then the square opening bracket, and then we would type hair eye color again, $freak greater equal 20, and then comma, because we want all the columns, and the comma separates the row detection from the column row selection from the column selection. And if we run that, then we get all the observations that have a frequency of at least 20 here in the console. If we do the same with Dplyr, then we would also start by typing hair eye color, and then we would use the pipe operator, which is % greater %. Now, if you don't know what this operator means, then I recommend you watch the videos that I've done on that topic. I will link it down in the description and in the info box at the top right of the video. Then let's create a new line of code, and we type filter, opening bracket, and we don't have to fill out the data here because that is already given by the pipe operator. And so we just type freak greater equal 20. And we don't have to type a comma here because filter in Dplyr is the function exclusively for selecting rows and not for selecting columns. The latter one would be the select command. And if we run that, then we see that it gives us actually precisely the same output as the base R function. Now, I do think that this Dplyr command is much easier to read because first of all, here you have this redundancy where you first select the data frame, and then you write the data frame name again, and then you have to select the row, and then finally the greater equal 20, and then you still have this comma here, which like as someone who doesn't really know the coding language, maybe they don't even know what that means. And here it's quite clear. We work with the hair eye color data set, and we filter frequency greater or equal than 20. I think it's much more straightforward, and it does the same result. Now, of course, if you would want to overwrite the data set and not just display it in the console, you would have to type here I color and assign it with this command. It would do the same thing, except that it would actually be changed in our environment, but we're not going to do that here now. So I'm going to remove that again. Now, what we have done here is filtration for a numeric column, and you can do that with the operators greater equal, or also less, or equal, which would be exactly 20 observations. But I'm going to stay here with greater equal. Alternatively, of course, we can also select only rows that have a certain criteria in one of the factor variables, and we are going to do that next. I'm going to copy this code with Command C or Control C if you're on Windows, and we're just going to change this part here within the filter command, and we are going to type hair equal, and then we have to use the quotation marks to select which hair color we would want. And let's say we want only black hair, only all the observations that have, or all the rows that have black hair. To press Command and Enter again to run this command. And there we see it in our console. We have only all the rows that have black hair. By the way, one difference in the output is that in the base R function, the line numbers that it shows you are the original line numbers. Whereas with the filter function, it shows you 1 to 10 in this case, or 1 to 8 in this case. So it shows you like the row names are already overwritten in the filter command. But yeah, this is an easy way here to filter for a factor variable. In the next step, let's combine multiple filter criteria. Let's say, for example, we want only the rows that have black hair, but a different eye color than brown, which I assume most people who would have black hair would probably also have brown eyes. But let's see how many we actually have that don't have brown eyes. So I have copy and pasted this chunk of code again, and we can combine multiple filter criteria simply with the AND sign. And so now we can select or we can choose the second criterion. And if we want to exclude some observations, we can do that with exclamation mark. So exclamation mark, and then it would be I equal brown. Alternatively, you can also write and I exclamation mark equal brown. These two mean the same thing, but we will notice in a moment that maybe using the first notation that I've shown is a little bit more helpful, a little bit more universal. So let's run this. And we see, of course, that now we have only a subset of the last filter criteria that we use, where we have here the black and blue eyes, black and hazel eyes, black and green eyes, but we don't have black and brown eyes. So what if, for example, you would want to exclude now not just the brown eyes, but also the hazel eyes? Let's copy and paste that command again. And of course, the easiest way would be to simply add another part here, and I unequal, and then in exclamation in quotation marks we type hazel, and let's run this again. And now we see we have only blue and green eyes left with black hair color. So the hazel ones are also out of this filtration. But there is a more elegant and better way to do that. So let's copy and paste this code again. And let's change this whole set to what I've shown before. Let's use the exclamation mark first, and then we can use the percent in percent operator, which with this operator we can supply a list of variable options, of factor options that we want to include or exclude. In this case, that would be brown, comma, hazel. And we have to put the C command around it to indicate that it's a vector. So now notice what we have done. We have created, instead of having two criteria here, uneven brown and unequal brown and unequal hazel, we have exclude I in brown and hazel. So if eye color is either brown or hazel, we want to exclude it. So we made one command out of two. And if we run this, we see that it gives us exactly the same output as before, but in a slightly easier to read way. Of course, you can also use exactly the opposite, where if you want to use, if you want hair color black and want to see only the rows where the eye color is brown or hazel, you just have to remove this exclamation mark, and then you get black hair with brown and hazel eye color. The alternative way to display this, if you don't want to use the percent in percent operator for whatever reason, would be that we type, I will use copy and paste once more, and then we can use the OR operator. So that would be and I equal brown, and then we have to use this straight up bar, which means OR in R, and that would be I equal hazel. But now we have to be careful, because this condition about the hair is independent of these two, but these two belong together. So we would have to use a bracket around them. So that this condition has to be met, and either of these two, either eye color is brown or eye color is hazel, would have to be met. And let's run this, and we see it's the same as before with the percent in percent operator. Now, I don't think there are so many reasons why you would want to use this OR operator for selecting rows, but I did find it important to show it at least once, because now I think we have shown all the basic functions that you can use for filtering. Greater equal, less equal, or precisely equal for numeric values. Filtering for factor value, combining multiple filtrations with AND, combining multiple filtrations with OR, and having supplied a list of values that you want to filter with the percent in percent operator. So I hope that you found this video quite helpful. If you did, then please consider giving it a thumbs up, and if you have any questions, then leave them down below in the comments, and I will make sure to come back to you. If you want to see more videos of this type, then please consider subscribing, because I have more R-related content coming up very soon. And with that being said, there's nothing left for me than to thank you for watching, and I wish you a great day. Have a good time. See you next time. Bye bye.